Hi, JJ. My name is Jack Fishman. I work for TotalBroSports, and we report without sensationalism.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself as Jordan Jackson. I am a corporate employee here in Tysons, Virginia, but also have a lot to do with this interview today, specifically in the realm of college sports and the transition. So I'm definitely excited.
His first question: how did you feel to commit to UVA?
So that's honestly that's actually a great question. Initially, I had committed to the University of North Carolina on Chapel Hill, and I got blindsided with a call the day after I committed, and it was a call from Coach Zach. I remember he was like, "Look, we've got in some trouble. You were a late commit. We may have to withdraw your scholarship, but we'd love to have you as a walk-on, and maybe we can reimburse that." And as soon as I heard that, I knew that, man, I'm going to accept this official visit, go to Charlottesville, Virginia, and see what the University of Virginia is all about. And I completely fell in love with the grounds. I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the city. And with Coach London there, Coach Mike London, I knew that I felt comfortable in what I was going to do as a defensive back at the time, transition to linebacker, and then I thought I was going to actually go to defensive end. But, I stayed as a will linebacker, and we had a great defensive coordinator in John Tenuta, and I just felt like that was the place for me. It wasn't too close to home, but it also wasn't too far, being 2 hours away from Northern Virginia. So I made my commitment on that, and I felt actually at home. So, yeah, that's how I came about that.
So how did the college scouts find you when you were playing football in Purcellville?
So, okay, I tell you what, I had a hell of a head football coach in high school, Mike Skinner, right? He's coached the likes of Ryan Burns and went to Stanford. If you know who Jonathan Allen is with the Redskins, he played in Stonebridge. I played against him, actually, and he was my main inspiration to get into football itself. Like I said, I was more of a basketball player, but, being 6'4" and no dribbling skills, you really can't translate into the collegiate space. So, college scouts have found me because we would go to 7-on-7 tournaments, and they saw I would run one route on 7-on-7. I was a tight end, and it was the fade route, and I just knew how to get a rebound. So it was not too much different than, grabbing a basketball. I was grabbing a football over somebody that was 5'10", maybe 5'11", and college scouts had seen me. And I had no clue that I had any potential to play Division I. I mean, I thought ODU was the first one to see me, so they're Division I. I think AA, I'm not sure. But after I got that first scholarship from Old Dominion University in the Chesapeake area, I mean, they started pouring out Duke, UNC, Boston College, Michigan State, Yale, a couple other Ivy League schools, and before you know it, before I even put pads on, they saw me playing 7-on-7, just the athleticism, and they went out on a limb and said, hey, you know what, we're willing to offer this kid a scholarship as an athlete because we don't know where the heck we're going to put him, but we know he can play at a higher level. So, college scouts, and it was quite nerve-wracking. Also getting invited to the Yahoo rival sports camps and stuff like that. You're going up against kids like Deshaun Han, 2014 Gatorade Player of the Year, also Andrew Brown, kids like that actually have transitioned all the way to the NFL right now and that are doing quite well. So just being there definitely gave me a lot of exposure and kind of helped me make that transition to the Division I, especially the ACC.
I remember we're at the gym. You told me the best part being redshirted. What was the hardest part about being redshirted when you were on UVA?
Freshman Fridays. Oh. Freshman Fridays. And so physically it was Freshman Fridays, right? So, Friday is basically the pregame for all the kids that aren't on being redshirted that are actually active players within the roster, right? So they're staying at the Darden Business School hotel, basically just chilling, doing walkthroughs, a light Friday before the Saturday matchup versus whoever it may be. But what we got lucky with is, the redshirt freshmen would actually have to be at the facilities by 6 a.m. and we were pushing sleds basically until until we threw up. And then, after 2 hours, it was difficult, but they were training our bodies to get acclimated to the division, to this level of playing. So it was that was definitely hard, but also during the week preparing for the matchup, I think, I only know one speed. It's 0 or 100, right? So being, doing scrimmaging against, your starting quarterback, being a quote unquote scout player, you couldn't really display your skill as an athlete or as a defender. In this case, I was an outside linebacker. They kind of wanted to go through the motions, but then they get mad if you weren't giving as much effort. But then if you gave too much effort, you had to roll. So it was kind of hard being a redshirt athlete and not being able, just not knowing. You're kind of stuck in limbo, not knowing, how do I match up with this actual player that's active on the roster, right?
Yeah.
Because if I do go too hard and I compete too hard, then I'm gonna get yelled at and I'm gonna have to roll after practice because I put this player at risk, right? So I think that was mentally the hardest part. Physically was a freshman Friday, but it definitely prepared me for the next level and the next step in my career as a collegiate athlete.
Yeah, that's really tough when you have to not try to injure the top players.
Yeah, you got to reel back your motor, and that's something I never knew how to do.
So who was the hardest team you played against when you were on the UVA Cavaliers?
Oh man, I have a heck of a lot of answers for that. Lamar Jackson.
What, you played Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. When I was a redshirt, the most impressive player I did see, and I still to this day, we had UCLA opening game, man, and Anthony Barr, he just wrecked havoc, man. He was incredible.
Is it that middle linebacker he plays on the Vikings now?
He plays on the Vikings now, yes, 55 for the Vikings. And then you got to think about, Lamar Jackson, though. That was scary. He could
so fast.
Jackson, like we've seen him do so many times, tucks it in the left.
It's so fast, and it was just electrifying, right? And I like to compare, people like to bring up the comparison between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes he's a magician in my eyes.
Any way possible, he puts it in his left hand.
But when you see an electrifying player like Lamar Jackson, and you can't, you guys get to see it on TV. Imagine seeing it on the field. It's you get stuck in your boots as a defender. You don't know what to do. You don't know how. You can't prepare against somebody like that. So.
Did you line up against him?
No, I did not. Luckily, I did not. But just purely watching him, he was a quarterback. So, usually I'm taking the two outside of – so that's basically the running back. So I'm taking the two out. You got 3 out, 1 out, 2 out. That's how we ran it at Virginia. And usually linebacker, especially on the weak side, I was a will linebacker. We're taking out the running back, right? So he could run a bubble. But Lamar Jackson could – run 50 yards back, run 50 yards forward, and still score. He was just if I could make a comparison, it was like he's like a Steph Curry. Steph Curry just makes things happen. So Lamar, exactly, swish, 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 and you just don't know how he did it, but he did it, and he man, I'm at a loss of words when I watch that man play. But him, Vic Beasley with the Atlanta Falcons, hell of a defensive end when he was at Clemson. But yeah, I tell you what, Lamar Jackson was somebody else, man. Well, I say the toughest opponent was Virginia Tech because it's personal.
Oh, Virginia Tech.
Oh, is that you? Are you like?
No, I don't care. I just cheer.
Oh, I was about to say I was just gonna close the laptop.
So, how did you feel that you were ranked in the top in senior year, in 2014?
Actually, it was surprising because I think I was ranked 20. It might have been 24th, it might have been 19th, but we had Trace McSorley, top 10. Trace, actually, I played with him. Yeah, I played against him. He was at Briarwoods. He's actually with the Baltimore Ravens right now.
Yeah,
he's gonna have a good career. He'll have a good career, but you had Bud Dupree.
A lot of Pittsburghers are here. Pittsburgh fans chanting defense.
And that is that defense right there, and that's Bud Dupree.
I was ranked way ahead of him. He was in the 50s. When it came to 24/7 sports and state rankings, he was back there. He's currently playing for the Redskins. Greg Stroman was also ranked in the 40s. So like, they made a heck of a transition from high school, college, and now they've made the next step, and Bud Dupree is highly successful at the next level, being in the NFL. Greg Stroman is still going through some growing pains, but I think he's a heck of a player, heck of an athlete. So my opinion on myself being ranked where I was at the time, I tied the state record for that year with Jalen Holmes in sacks. I think I had 18 sacks. He actually might have beat me out, but we'll just say it was a tie for now. But so I felt like I was up there, but also I was little. I was tenacious. I was 205 pounds playing defensive end. So I thought I was either going to be a tight end in college, or maybe a safety or an elephant backer, kind of like a Jamal Adams. Yeah, like a hybrid. And I think that actually would have suited me well. But we were running a 4-3 at UVA, and that's the only thing that I say if I had to regret anything, I would have moved to a 3-4. That would have actually let me be a little more versatile in my skill set. Being a will linebacker, you have to take on those, I'm 220 pounds soaking wet when I'm during my first year of football or freshman year. UVA, we say first year, second year, third year. But, so having to take on like a 70-pound fullback, that takes you out of the play almost immediately, man, unless you're just cutting him.
Oh.
So, yeah, but my ranking as a high school player, I felt that it was just definitely.
What NFL player that you played in high school stood out the most?
Jonathan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
By far. I remember just looking at his legs, I was like, those are tree trunks. Like this guy, you try to block him and he almost laughs, and it's just, he was so powerful at the point of contact that either you got your bell rung or you're just immediately taken out of the play, and he could just blow up any play. He single-handedly could disrupt a game as if this was basketball, as if it was soccer. It was amazing just to watch him play, and almost like a Jadeveon Clowney, right? So
he's better than Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh yeah, by now, yeah, of course. But just the sense of disruption that he caused was synonymous with Jadeveon Clowney's ability to single-handedly change the game as a defensive player.
So, what would you say to UVA players who have a lot of talent but do not get a lot of playing time, that the coaches don't really look at them a lot?
Bronco Mendenhall is doing something very special, and I think that it's a merit-based foundation with that. Like if you're able to play, it doesn't matter if you're a walk-on, if you're a scholarship guy, if you're good enough, you're gonna suit up on Saturday and you're gonna go out there and display your capabilities, and you're gonna help this team win. And I just can't answer that question and say that there is somebody due to their attitude or being a drama queen or whatever it may be that's holding them back from seeing some time on the field, because that's just not the culture that's being established right now for the University of Virginia's football team. And Coach Bronco Mendenhall has done a great job in establishing that new culture, whereas there may have been a little bit of politics when I was playing, right? Because we actually had, we had Mike London, John Tenuta. We had a bunch of coaches that had a high-level degree of coaching, man. Like John Tenuta came from Notre Dame, was actually the interim head coach at the time. You had Mike London coming from Richmond and won back-to-back national championships, right? So there's a lot of conflicts of power at that time where, Steve Fairchild, our offensive coordinator, might have been like this, like, hey, I want that guy. Or, Mike London's like, well, actually, I think this guy might be better for, the quarterback position. And, so there's a lot of butting of heads, but I think there's a sense of unity right now with the University of Virginia's program that's allowing them to actually see this sort of progress. I do believe in their skill set, man. Those guys work hard. They play even harder. So, it's just a heck of a thing to see.
So what are your thoughts on Bryce Hall's injury, which made him sink to the 5th round?
That was actually heartbreaking. That kid, he's a great kid all around. Really good kid, hell of an athlete, hell of a player. And when you talk about a team guy, he doesn't see himself as, because he was slated to be a first-round pick. But he doesn't see himself any different than any other guys on the team. He holds himself to the same standards. He doesn't require or need any special, accommodations because he's a superstar. But when you saw that injury, man, you couldn't help but it was jaw dropping, it was an ankle. But the thing is, the beauty about it was he was the first guy to greet the team. He kept his head up, he puffed his chest out, and he really stood up as a proud man and a proud football player. And he took it on the chin. And he still was a heck of a player, and he contributed to the rest of the season as a player, whether he was on the sidelines or not, because those games got tough, man. When you lose a player like that, you got to have young guys step up, and you got to have some sense of, if he went down in the dumps, it's like, man, my career after UVA is over, he could have checked out and just been like, sulked. But nah, he was still invested at 110%. Injuries like that, that's just the nature of the game, and that's actually what prompted my career ending. Is, having multiple concussions and understanding your brain goes a little bit further than your playing career. So
I think he's going to be a draft steal. What are your thoughts on UVA this year? Do you think they're going to be better than last year, or do you think they're going to be worse?
So you lose a player in Bryce Perkins, right? And he's with the San Diego, or actually Los Angeles Chargers. And you got a new guy at quarterback. Still got the same line. Essentially, I think they're going to be better personally. Again, and it all starts with the culture and where they're going. I mean, just the simple things of upgrading the facilities, getting these new recruits in, right? So that kind of, it sets the motor for the team. And we got that high type of energy, man. They're not going, I guarantee you tonight, they're not going in there thinking they're going to lose to Clemson, because they're not. That's the culture that's instilled right now with Coach Bronco Mendenhall. And also they're having fun, but they're also working hard. So sky's the limit for UVA. I think we might not coast our way, but beat our way to the ACC Conference Championship again and meet Clemson again. Last year they steamrolled them, but hey, yeah, UVA, you're going to see UVA crack the top 10 again. Not this year due to the pandemic. Things are hard, but when things are about to normal, yeah, they're going to be the new FSU. Or the new UVA, I should say.
So my closing question is, since you no longer play sports, what do you miss most about being an outside linebacker?
Question right there just gave me goosebumps, man. It's coming off that edge and beating that tackle and seeing the name of the quarterback and just blindsiding him. There's something about that, and just completely, it might sound violent, just the whiplash, the ball flying out, and then looking up and seeing it's crazy, because in that moment it's just silent. But also as a linebacker, there's something about playing a little bit of pass coverage, which I was introduced to when I played Division I football, and getting an interception that was new to me, because I'd only caught one touchdown pass in my whole football career. But catching an interception, that's a change of pace. That's the momentum change, this, that, and the third. But I tell you what, man, there's nothing like sacking a quarterback off of pure speed and aggression. He has no clue what's coming at him.
And then go for the ball. That's the strip. That's the best.
Go to the ball. You come up under there, punch that ball out. Yeah, right there. And if he's doing this, that's if he's cocked back. Yeah, you go ahead and slap that ball. But man, I'm talking about when he does no clue, and you beat the 3-second the count, where it's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and that's what the quarterback should already have the ball out by then. Man, I was able to get there sometimes in 2 seconds, and just it was over. Boom. They have no clue.
The O-line did a good job if the quarterback gets more than 3 seconds to throw.
Oh, absolutely. But also, I think the awareness. If you look at people, I wanted to say Dak Prescott. I'm a Washington football fan.
Ooh. Dak Prescott.
But there's people like Russell Wilson that have this sort of awareness that can step up into the pocket, shift. And speaking of Clemson, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be an incredible quarterback when it comes to awareness and actually transitioning. So, the offensive line plays a good part in, providing more than three seconds for the quarterback. But also if he can step up in that pocket that's created by the O-line, and he can deliver a pass to one of his receivers without getting them killed, that's a good quarterback. And that's a quarterback that's going to have a long, healthy career, whether it be in college or NFL. So, yeah, I'm happy to see the future of football, aside from, me being outside linebacker, how they're protecting the quarterback so much, man. It's football. You got to be able out there and go out and hit the quarterback just like you can get hit running a route. So, yeah, man.
JJ, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Hey, man, it was my pleasure talking to you, Jack, man. Anytime, man. I love talking about sports, life, whatever you guys want to talk about, man. This was a heck of an interview, and it brought me back, man. I definitely could speak on this for hours.